The Isaiah Factor Uncensored starts right now.
Welcome and thank you for joining us for The Factor Uncensored. Now, when it comes to relationships, everything isn't always smooth sailing. There's a list out with the unhappiest couples and the list of states that they're in. Now, some people are just miserable. Our next guests share how they work through their own issues and the advice you may need out there. Well, the gang is all here. We have the Walls with us, and we're talking about the unhappiest couple. Now, I picked these two because they're the happiest couple I know. But there's a list that came out saying there are some unhappy couples around the United States. Now, Colorado tops the list, guys, as you know. Also on that list, New Jersey and many other states. But Texas is right there at 26, right in the middle. The happiest. Louisiana's on one of the happiest couples list. So you guys took a look at that list on some of the happiest and unhappiest couples. The headline is the unhappy couples out there. What do you think about that, Dr. Wall? Your assessment of that?
So what's really interesting about that list is that when you really look at what does it all kind of compare, you got more urban than you do more rural. But the biggest thing is that when you think about that top five, think about schools. Education is a huge factor for the five that are unhappy. Now get that, that's unhappy. So when you consider that Colorado, well, there's the Air Force Academy. You got, when you start thinking about New Jersey, Princeton. When you think about New York, Columbia. When you think about Utah, BYU or University of Utah, but mostly BYU. And the number five, you got Massachusetts. Come on now, Harvard. However, South Dakota. Really? What's really going on? No one is rushing to South Dakota for education. You got Mississippi and Arkansas. Depending on who you Google, Mississippi and Arkansas are on the top five of the worst educated states that are in the nation. You got, Louisiana, that's also one of them as well. But you also have, Alaska. Well, no one's rushing to Alaska. I mean, the old joke is when you find that you have a job, they send you to Alaska. They're not really concerned about you. They're just concerned about getting a job done. So it's an education thing. And with more education.
And really quick, make that education component make sense to us. You're saying what? As a result of it being a highly educated population, that people are less willing to take any bull? What?
Well, it's not as much about bull, it's about options. When you think about the options that you have as a highly educated or more educated individual, the main thing is you can see other ways to get around the problem. But when you're less educated, you got basically what? A beer, your dog, and probably, the bar. And after that, that's nothing else to do. So it's really more about the education.
Dr. Wall's going to piss some people off tonight.
Hey, the uneducated. I mean, hey,
remember the fact is not just in Texas.
No, it's not.
All right, Brigitte, your feelings about this list and this ranking.
Well, for me, I find odd that Colorado is number one because it's cold in Colorado, and I would want to snuggle.
Snuggle,
be with my boo. So I'm going to try and make it work. So, the education part, I don't know, babe. I get it, but I don't know. I would want to, like I said, stay nice and snuggly and warm. But I can kind of see, DC, because, they have the Love and Marriage Huntsville and Love and Marriage DC. So they're kind of like on the reality TV, and it's like, I can do what I want to do. And most of the time, I feel like when people have a little bit more money, if you will, you have more options and you have money. And so if you don't want to stay in something, then there's an option. You can go look for something better. I just feel like that people should really look at why they were with someone, if they like that person, and then let's see how we can move forward. Nothing is that bad, so we have to break up, especially in the cold. To be warm.
You can say we're both broke, so let's just chill here together. Shit.
Stay together. Hey, keeper to keeper.
It is keeper to keeper.
That it is. So I brought you two together because you're husband and wife, recently married, but a very happy couple. So for those who are looking to get that into their relationship, whether they've been married 10, 20 years or they're just starting out, what advice would you have for those to get that couple, that happy couple relationship? We won't say perfect because no one is perfect out there. But one of the parameters for this study, people Googling and searching for divorce attorney, ending relationships. So what do you guys bring to the table for each that make you guys a happy couple?
So, well, I mean, we're not going to necessarily go back and forth on which one to speak, but I'm going to say this. The easiest thing that is cheap is to communicate, to actually understand. And, Sweetie did mention that, why do you like who you're with? And if you invest more time, more effort, more resources in what you two like about what you two are together about and where you can go and communicate it and constantly keep that going, you have a better chance not wondering about, well, why do I want to be away from the person? Normally, and I often say, with that quote, you can be right or you can be happy. Which one do you want to be? But you can't be both. So it's important to look at what's better, communicate, and then let's talk about why do we want to be together, which means like each other.
Make sure you don't go anywhere. We'll continue this conversation with the Waz after the break. Stay with us here on The Factor. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Now we continue our discussion on unhappy couples in America. Let's get back to our happy couple with their advice. And Brigitte, we have you here. You are a communication specialist. And so how dare you be in a relationship and you're not talking, right?
That's right. But that's one of the things too. And also accept the person for who they are and stop trying to change them. I mean, at this age we're in, if you can't just accept them for who they are, then what are you doing? Tim does certain things and it could grate my nerves, and I could talk about it and say, would you stop doing that, please? That gets on my nerves. Or I could laugh, see he's laughing because he knows what I'm talking about. Or I could just say, you know what, it's not that big of a deal. So I tend to choose my battles. It's not worth it. It really isn't when you look at it in the long run. And I always try to outdo him as far as who can make who the happiest. I take care of his needs and my needs get taken care of. I don't even have to ask, nor does he. It's this thing about, I don't know if a lot of people, I'm aging myself, but Betty Wright was saying, I'm earning my man while I'm learning my man. That's something take to heart.
The young people are like, who the hell is Betty Wright?
Go look it up, people. Go look it up.
Google.
Oh.
And Tim, when you take a look at other couples out there and you see them in their relationships, what would be your biggest piece of advice to keep it going, to keep spice going, to keep it interesting, to make sure you just don't lose interest and go stray?
So fun is an action word. So if you aren't really having fun with the person that you claim that you like or you love, because we marry for love, then you're missing a vital opportunity to enjoy life. So find something that's fun, find fun within the person, find just a way to be, happy, or just to have sometimes to laugh, because laughter is a great medicine, especially nowadays, but it's a great medicine to use. And I also have another quote: smiling is an exercise we must do daily. So find a way to smile.
And Brigitte, what would be your piece of advice for individuals out there who may be teetering on the edge, on the precipice of jumping off that cliff because it ain't working out?
Well, for me, and I'm going to go back to, what did you like about that person? What made you fall in love with them? Kind of go back to that. Because a lot of times we have people in our business. And that's one of the things I would tell people, because you're listening to this person or you're listening to that person, and they're telling you a bunch of stuff that's not true. And ladies, I would suggest that you listen to your husband or your mate or whatever to find out. Go to the source. Don't take what your girlfriend says, especially your single girlfriend. Single.
You close your damn mouth, old lonely ass over there.
I want to stay happily married. This is just why you by yourself now. I'm just saying. So, Tim was saying earlier, the open communication, the laughter, we do everything we do is an adventure. We call it adventure time whenever we go somewhere, and we just have fun. Even when it's not so much fun. We find humor in it and we just laugh and have fun. Nothing is so serious that it cannot be worked out.
All right. Well, we want to thank you both for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. And Tim, you have a book that could help couples out there. Tell us a little bit about that before we wrap up.
So the title of the book is The 3-Day Getaway, a fun platform for couples communication, which is on Amazon. Go get it today. And it has a workbook. But the premise of it is to actually identify accountability, responsibility, and transparency to determine what does it mean to actually like the person you're with, so that you yourself, as well as the other person, can come to an even idea of what does it mean to continue as a relationship.
And Brigitte, we can find you on social media where?
As Fashionable Publicist and as She Bridges PR.
All right. Thank you both for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. Maybe you've given some advice that will bring some couples back together. Thank you, guys. Still ahead tonight on The Factor, financial help for families preparing to go back to school. Keep it here.
Hey, it's your girl, Carolina Sanchez, and The Nightcap is the late-night show where no topic is off limits. Join me as we dive into the wild world of relationships, sex, and everything in between. From hilarious dating disasters to steamy secrets, you know we've got it all. We've got celebrity guests, expert advice, and a cocktail in hand. The Nightcap is your guilty pleasure. So grab your drink and tune in, because the best stories start after dark.
The Nightcap, weeknights at 11:30 on Fox 26 and Fox Local.